How's it going, friends? So today is another edition of the Body Language on the 20% Project. What I've learned over this past week is a few things. The main thing we'll be focusing on today is microexpressions. So what is a microexpression? What does it do? How is it used? And how can we use it to be better facilitators of clear communication? So a microexpression is a small expression that happens in about 1/25th of a second and is subconscious. So the person who's making that subconscious expression does not even know it happened. So it happens about as quick as the snap of a finger, and we don't really know it's even happening as we do it. So an example of microexpression, if you can watch my face, is imagine that you're talking, and you have an audience member who's listening to you, and they're nodding, and then they make a simple little gesture on the right side of their face. And what they're saying is a clear message. So that little smirk that I just made that came from one side of my face and kind of came up on one side is a sign of contempt. So currently I feel superior in the situation that you've said something that makes me feel like I'm getting the upper hand, or that I am a little bit more superior to you currently. Why is this important? This is important because we can use these tools to read these microexpressions. When someone shows us a microexpression, it's called a leak. They're leaking information about their emotional state, and then we can read that to respond in the most effective and clear way to facilitate a good conversation. Now, with these tools and with these abilities to read microexpressions, we need to know kind of what they are, what they represent, and how we can read them. So there are 7 universal signs that every single human being on this planet uses. If you go to North America, South America, Europe, Africa, Asia, Australia, every single person you meet is going to use these same expressions no matter where you go. Why is that important? It's important because body language is the only universal language. There is only one language that every human being is programmed to know. Every single person has universal signs when they are expressing anger, fear, sadness, disgust, contempt, surprise, and happiness. Every single person has the same cues for these 7 signs. So as we go about our lives and we see people who have these microexpressions and they start to leak, and we notice a subtle sign in the middle of a conversation that someone has a slight smile, and it will look very small, and you may see it, you may not, or they show a sign of contempt when we're talking to them, and it's very small. We can start to recognize what they're really feeling emotionally, their true emotional state, because these tells, or these leaks from microexpressions, are not coming from our neocortex. So we have 3 different parts of our brain. The highest order thinking is the neocortex, and the neocortex is not associated with microexpressions because it takes too long to think. Microexpressions come from the lower 2 brains, the ones that control emotion and the ones that control fight or flight, the reptilian brain that I've been talking a lot about. So these 2 brains, the lower brains, they send off and represent our emotions. And they happen so fast that the neocortex can't identify with them to recognize that we're actually doing it. So they come in the sense of unawareness. So we can use these microexpressions to make sure that we are aware of what this person is feeling, what they're going through, how they're feeling about our presentation, how they're feeling about the conversation we're having with them. And we can use this to better ourselves, to better the conversations we have with people, and to better our lives. I'm going to use this in my classroom. Whenever I go into a classroom, I notice that a student is feeling these certain ways, these 7 signs. I can make sure that I process the information and that I know how to go about the next conversation with them to make sure that I can make them the most productive they can be. A lot of these signs are used in sales. A lot of these strategies are to make you a more productive salesperson. I don't want to make anyone a productive salesperson. I don't want to make myself a more productive salesperson. I don't want to make profit on being able to read someone else's emotions. I want to be able to help someone based on seeing what their emotions really are. Like, if I'm able to recognize that someone has pure happiness and I know the steps that I took to get there, then I can start making sure that I know to use that strategy even more. Vice versa, if I see contempt in someone based on some actions that I've done, then I can start to reflect and know what I've done to get to that place. So I think this is a great opportunity for us to be able to recognize that microexpressions are the small little expressions that we see that body language itself is universal, which means that every single person knows how to read it. Every single person knows how to express it, and we all use the same signs. And that microexpressions can start to tell us a little bit more about what the person is really feeling because they can't hide it, and it's always truthful. So thank you for listening to this week. I look forward to the last week, which is coming up next, and a little bit more information. So make sure you use this week in your life and look forward to the next event.